Here is some background context before I, 20, go further. My father, 48, was never present in my early life as he and my mother divorced when I was very young, and he moved 6 hours away for work. But eventually we rekindled and were on good terms in my mid-teens. Once I graduated, my father asked if I would like to come and live with him, my stepmother, 28, and my older sister, 24, to make up for the fact that I never really had the chance to see him growing up. I was hesitant as I'd landed a very high-paying job straight out of school and was also planning on moving in with a few friends. My older sister had been living with them since she was 19 and said she'd like to have me around, so I caved, and just after my 19th birthday, I quit my job, cancelled my plans to move away with my friends, and packed all my stuff into my car. To be honest, it was great living with him, but I struggled to settle into the new town, making friends, getting a job, etc. Fast forward to 2 weeks ago and I found a job, have made friends, and I'm dirt poor because I spent all my money on a trip to Spain with said friends. 4 days ago before I left, my sister suddenly moved out as one of her friend's roommates moved away, so she quickly moved in with her friend in the space of a few days. All good. I went on my trip for 2 weeks and came back 3 days ago as of writing this post. The first day I was back, my father and stepmother were very nice and welcoming, picking me up from the airport, asking how it all went and wanting to see pictures. But after having dinner, they said they wanted to talk to me about something serious. They sat me down and explained that while they really liked having me around, they loved having their own space and house to themselves more and wanted me out in 3 weeks. They said they'd help me move my stuff and that I'd always be allowed to stop by. I was shocked and very hurt. I brought up that they wanted me to move in with them and that my older sister had been living with them for the last 4 or 5 years. We went back and forth for about an hour arguing until I reached a boiling point. I just started shouting and told them how hurt I was, how it was BS that I moved away from home and lost a great job and opportunity just for this. My stepmother said that I was too old to live with them anyways and that I was acting like a leech. I pay them rent and buy my own food, so I told her that was ironic coming from a gold digger. After that, they told me to pack my things and leave and that I wasn't welcome back, which I did. I'm now staying with my sister until I can find somewhere to stay. They haven't talked to me since, and my sister agrees that it was a messed up thing for them to do. I get you eventually have to move out of home, but inviting me to live with you when I'm doing well, and then kicking me out when I'm broke, feels like such a betrayal to me. So, am I the idiot for how I reacted? Edit. Sorry I wasn't clear. I lived with them a year. They didn't kick me out as soon as I moved in. Also, I didn't find a job only 2 weeks ago. I struggled to find a job for the first 3 months, but have been working part-time since. I hope this clears things up. So they told you they wanted you to come live with them, so you quit your job to do so, and then they told you that actually they don't want you to live there when you get there. That's super messed up. If they can't see that, there's some huge cognitive dissonance in their heads. You are not the idiot. You quit your job and uprooted your life at their request. Giving you 3 weeks to get out is insane. I don't know what game they're playing, but they got you to give up your job and uproot your life to live with them, and then once you're settled and lost that prospect and are broke from a trip, then they demand you leave. It sounds like they're intentionally screwing you over. I don't know what they're playing at, but once you get out of there and get everything they screwed up back on track, that's the last time I'd ever talk to them. What crappy people. And you're only 8 years younger than your stepmom. I know what's going on. Stepmom wants a kid of her own and wants the house empty to create a fairy tale. Probably she's already pregnant. That's why OP's sister suddenly moves out after telling him she wanted him around, and they give him 3 weeks to get out. Dude, you're kind to call someone that's only 8 years older than you your stepmom. I call her my dad's other kid, my dad's concubine, child bride, or anything. I think this may be the plan. OP, they're terrible people. Can I get the old job offer rekindled? It won't hurt to try. If not, find another job, preferably where you lived with your mom, see if you can move back home, and save money so that you always have contingency money. Good luck. Update. Thanks everyone. I doubt I could get the same job as the global issue is what really opened that opportunity. I suppose I've just wanted to have my dad more involved in my life. Thought it would be nice to get to know him properly finally. I've always had the idea of family over money instilled in my mind. I suppose pregnancy is always possible, but I've never heard them say they wanted to have kids together, but if I hear my stepmother is pregnant in the next year, that would pretty much confirm it. My husband's sister, 38, lives with us and our kids. I'm well beyond fed up with her being here because of food issues. That's the only reason. So basically, every single time I make food, his sister will come in and doctor up the food I'm making to her liking. Like I made steak and shrimp the other day, like Applebee's, and she waited until I left the room to put a full stick of butter in my shrimp that was already done, and when I came back in she goes, "I'm pretty sure that's the taste you were looking for," and completely ruined it. It was trash. Or whenever I make spaghetti, she'll start dumping sugar into the sauce, to the point of sweet spaghetti that my kids and I outright refuse to touch because it's nasty. She puts 2 full cups of sugar into the sauce. Every time she can get away with it, she's doing something to the food. Anyways, my husband has started doing the same thing. I went to make homemade mac last night and cheeseburgers. I went to the basement to the chest freezer to grab the veggies I needed. When I came back upstairs, my husband was putting the canned chicken into the mac and cheese. He knows the kids hate the taste of that. And his sister had pushed blocks of blue cheese into the partially cooked burgers. I asked what the heck they thought they were doing because I told them so many times to stop messing with the food, and neither of them had any good excuse other than, "We were just helping." I flipped out and told them to get the heck out of my kitchen. Both of them told me I was overreacting, etc., etc. The thing is, I've openly asked my sister-in-law to cook several times and she won't. But she won't stop messing with the food I'm making. My husband cooks often and I don't care if he screws with the food he makes, but it royally makes me angry when my cooking is messed with and he knows that. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Who puts 2 cups of sugar in pasta? 2 cups? Dude, you only add like a pinch. This is insane. She sounds unhinged, and why is your husband enabling her and actively participating? They both suck. She needs to go ASAP and you and he need a long talk. Tell them that if they hate the food so much, they need to cook for themselves and stop cooking for these people, especially considering they're just making your job harder by making your food inedible for your kids. Your sister-in-law has overstayed her welcome. My mom has a rule. You are now in charge of the whole meal if you touch the food she's cooking, even just to lift the lid and see what it is. She will tell you that you are now in charge and will not return to the kitchen until the food is ready. This is how she dealt with people messing with her cooking. Honestly, have your sister-in-law move out. Done. Husband too. Done. Is this some kind of weird power play by sister-in-law, exerting dominance over you because she's your husband's sister, and your husband just going along with that crap? Your husband is as much of the problem as his sister. I'm in a rage just reading this. My boyfriend and I, both in our 30s, have been together for almost 2 years. Each makes decent money, he makes almost twice my income, and we plan to marry and have kids in a year. Less than a year into dating, I agreed to move into his house, which he owned for several years. Before officially moving in, all he requested of me was to pay back 40% of the monthly mortgage and utilities payment, and to take turns buying groceries. I gladly agreed and have consistently done that. I've also been paying for everyday necessities such as toilet paper, soap, paper towels, etc. And we use my car 95% of the time because he's pointed out that my car is more gas efficient. I always pay for gas too. I estimate these extra monthly costs to be around $400 or $500. Never complain. Since the beginning of our relationship, he shared his home renovation plans starting with the bathrooms, which he estimates to cost at least $10,000. I like the idea because the improvements would be nice to have: floor-to-ceiling marble, glass shower doors, new windows to add natural light. There are currently no issues with the bathrooms, but he insists we get it done before we have kids and would like me to contribute. I've always been upfront about my hesitation to contribute large amounts to a home I don't own because we aren't married yet and I'm not on the deed. I also don't want to be like his ex, who contributed to similar expenses, and obviously that didn't work out. I told him it would comfort me to know I contributed large amounts to something I also own, and shared my insecurity about ending up like his ex, which he thinks is ridiculous because nothing is guaranteed anyway. We could marry and divorce. He recently had other improvements made to the house which cost over $10,000. I didn't help pay or request these things, but I have made previous comments about how these upgrades would be nice to have eventually. Lately, it seems my boyfriend has been building resentment towards me for not contributing more because he's commented that my monthly mortgage contribution doesn't help a lot and feels like he will always be alone in this. I've told him I have no issues contributing more once I'm on the deed. Girl, your boyfriend wants to take advantage of you. The fact that he blows off you paying 40% of his mortgage despite him earning twice as much is concerning. Tell him you legally are just a renter and renters do not pay for home remodeling projects a landlord wants. And now you know why his ex is an ex and why you should be one too. He's all take and no give. LOL, he can put you on the deed if he doesn't want to feel alone owning a home. He increased his home value with those improvements, so he put that money in his future him's pocket when he spent it on the house. You should only be expected to contribute to improving the value of his home if you're benefiting from shared ownership or sharing the increase in value. Exactly. Protect yourself. Where I live, all the money expert people warn women about falling into this trap, like his ex did. It's reasonable to share expenses, but if you're paying toward the mortgage, you should get equity in the house, formally and in a contract. Last night my girlfriend and I were watching a movie, probably about 11 p.m. Our son, pre-tween, was supposed to be in bed and asleep for a couple of hours by now, but apparently he woke up and walked out to go use the bathroom right when a character loudly said some nasty words. We had the volume lower than normal, but he still heard it. I tried my best to get him back to bed calmly, but he kept asking what it meant. I told him it's a bad word he shouldn't say and that he doesn't need to know what it means. Apparently, that only made him more curious. It's been about a day later, and we threatened and given as many punishments as possible. Sit in a corner, we'll take your video games, we won't let friends come over, etc. But he won't stop saying it, and or asking what it means. Well, me and my girlfriend wanted to go out to eat. Usually we'd take our son with us. However, we decided that we shouldn't, as he might say it in public or even someone or ask someone what it meant. I don't want to deal with that or have to explain it to someone. I especially don't want to be kicked out of a place because our son is constantly saying obscenities. So for the first time since he was like 2, we got a babysitter. Not a complete stranger, but one of our friends that my son has met many times. I knew he wouldn't be happy, but he just refused to stop inquiring about the new word he just learned. He was very upset about not getting to go to dinner. I told him that we'd bring him back food and wouldn't be gone long and that our friend would watch a movie with him or play with him, whatever he wanted. He didn't have it. We were only gone for 2 hours and apparently he sat in his room and pouted the entire time we were gone. He did eventually get bored and come out to watch TV, but he was still visibly upset. Now we're home and we've made some progress. He seems to be mostly over his fascination with the word. Regardless, he's still mad about not getting to go out. I feel like a bit of an idiot, but I don't know. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. This is a perfectly normal, age-appropriate part of his development, and you couldn't have handled it worse, OP. At that age, they're still learning. They can't pull reasons out of their butts. It's your job to teach him, explain why it's a bad word and what the consequences of saying it may be. All you've done is punish him for being curious and show him how you're ashamed of him learning and exploring a new language. Again, developmentally appropriate for a child of his age. What kind of lesson do you think he got from how you've treated him? You can't punish and isolate a child and refuse to explain why. We aren't born with the ability to understand correlation and causation. It's OP's logic that creates generational trauma. My best friend and I are working on our childhood traumas, and the vast majority are our parents having the mindset of, it's how I was raised, or I had it worse as a kid. Like, great. Did you enjoy it? Did you feel confused, scared, unloved? Do you want your kid to feel that way about you? So many of these parents were abused, mainly physically, and still say this. It's unresolved trauma that, rather than being dealt with, is passed off onto the next generation as learned behavior. It's extremely tragic, and it pains my soul to hear kids are still going through this, especially with how easy it is to learn about good and effective parenting via the internet. Last week it was my 29 female friends, 28 female hen party. The organisers requested we all wear black and the bride can wear something colourful of her choice, and that way she stands out as the bride. I wore a floral dress with a black background which I thought was perfectly on theme because it's black at the base, but when I got there, everyone else was wearing all black only. One of the girls in the group asked why I was wearing florals when we were supposed to wear black. I said my dress was still black too, just with a floral print. Then when we were having group photos taken, one of the girls who organised it looked annoyed and said the photos looked off as everyone was wearing full black and the bride was in the middle wearing a colour but with a random floral print taking away attention. Later I confided with another girl saying I don't see why it was a big deal, it was just a hen party and I didn't think it needed to be that strict. She said it's not a big deal in the grand scheme of things, but it also wouldn't have been a big deal for me to just wear black like instructed. That everyone owns black and it was chosen to make things easy. It seemed like I was being difficult for the sake of it by purposefully choosing a print. Am I the idiot for wearing a floral dress to a hen party? You are the idiot. The instructions were perfectly clear. The intent of the event was perfectly clear. It was all about making sure that the bride got all of the attention. The fact that you're the only person who didn't show up in all black tells you everything you need to know about your behavior. Yeah, OP, didn't follow the simple request, kept asking people and trying to get folks on your side, not apologizing and being out of the way in group photos. If she's still invited to the wedding, she's gonna roll up in a white dress with floral prints like, "What, it's got floral prints on it?" Excuse me, that's clearly champagne which is in no way white, so I did nothing wrong. LOL. I find the dress code a little ridiculous, but there was a dress code nonetheless, and not that hard. Opie doesn't seem embarrassed at all, and I think that says enough. If it were me, I would have died on the spot. I would have probably left and went home to change or to a store to buy an all-black dress. Darling, you're a numpty.